Good morning. First of all, it's not a Ferris wheel, it's not a merry-go-round. If anything, it's like a hamster wheel. It's for their exercise. It's so that they can run around and get their zoomies out in a constructive way. But I have to train them on it. I got to use treats to get them to get on the wheel and run. So anyway. Hi, Zach. You know that nailer was on the floor? So we continue with Moses, and now he encounters God in the burning bush, and God is telling him, he said, I'm going to set you free, right? You're going to go back to Egypt, you're going to go to Pharaoh, and you're going to tell him that your God, the God, has said to let your people go. And so Moses is, of course, a little apprehensive, but he trusts still, right? He's been trusting in God. He's been trusting in God since the beginning. And so he listens to him and he says, but for me to go to tell the people this, I've got to know who you are, right? I need to know your name. And that's important, right? Knowledge of God. Who is God? To be faithful to God, to love God, to follow God, to serve God, we first have to know Him, right? We can't love that which we don't know. We can't love someone that we don't know, right? Part of dating is getting to know each other, to be able to love them. And so God reveals His name. He says, I am who am, which, is kind of a strange way of naming oneself. But basically He's saying, I exist, right? I always have existed. I always will exist. I'm eternal. I am. And so Moses then is sent forth. He's sent back to Egypt so that he can confront Pharaoh, so that he can tell him, you're going to let my people go, and we're going to go worship God. And we're not going to do it the way that you want us to do it. We're going to do it the way that God wants us to do it. Right? And so we're being set free from slavery. We're being set free from our sinfulness. Jesus comes and He says, let the people go. I'm freeing them from their sinfulness. I'm sending them out. I'm preparing them for heaven. And so we are made free from our sin as we are united to God, as we are united to Christ. We are set free from our sin, and we are transformed into something new, something good, something holy. And Jesus sets us free. The power of the world, though, still follows after us, much like Pharaoh and the Egyptians followed after the Israelites as they were exiting Egypt. The world still tries to tempt us and lure us. But Christ has already set us free. We simply have to trust. You have to trust in Him just as Moses trusted in God. Just as Moses trusted in this kind of faceless God. God has a face for us, though. He has a body, right? Jesus took on our flesh. He became like us to show us the way. And so Moses is this great example to us of faithfulness, of trust in God, of striving to do His will, of standing up against the world when the world says, no, you can't follow God. Or if you're going to follow God, you have to do it in this way, and it has to be in private, and it can't really influence anything else in your life. But for us to be able to stand up against that and say, no, because I have God on my side. God has called me to Himself. God has called me as I labor and as I am burdened, and He has placed His yoke upon me, and He has assured me that it is easy and that it is light. And so He desires for us to find rest. Rest from sinfulness, rest from wickedness, rest from the world, rest from that which prevents us from doing good, rest from that which prevents us from becoming holy. And so we trust in the Lord. Let us continue to trust in God in our lives. And as we receive Holy Communion this day, let us ask that the Lord would unite us ever more closely to Him so that we may continue to trust Him, we may follow Him, and by knowing Him, we may love Him, we may serve Him.